Day 59, Tuesday, December 27th. Job 14. Job 14 1-22 NKJV. Man who is born of woman is a few days and full of trouble. He comes forth like a flower and fades away. He flees like a shadow and does not continue. And do you open your eyes on such a one, and bring me to judgment with yourself? Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? No one. Since his days are determined, the number of his months is with you. You have appointed his limits, so that he cannot pass. Look away from him that he may rest, till like a hired man he finishes his day. For there is hope for a tree, if it is cut down, that it will sprout again, and that its tender shoots will not cease. Though its root may grow old in the earth, and its stump may die in the ground, yet at the scent of water it will bud and bring forth branches like a plant. But man dies and is laid away. Indeed he breathes his last, and where is he? As water disappears from the sea, and a river becomes parched and dries up, so man lies down and does not rise. Till the heavens are no more, they will not awake nor be roused from their sleep. Oh, that you would hide me in the grave, that you would conceal me until your wrath is past, that you would appoint me a set time, and remember me. If a man dies, shall he live again? All the days of my hard service I will wait, till my change comes. You shall call, and I will answer you. You shall desire the work of your hands. For now you number my steps, but do not watch over my sin. My transgression is sealed up in a bag, and you cover my iniquity. But as a mountain falls and crumbles away, and as a rock is moved from its place, as water wears away stones, and as torrents wash away the soil of the earth, so you destroy the hope of man. You prevail forever against him, and he passes on. You change his countenance and send him away. His sons come to honor, and he does not know it. They are brought low, and he does not perceive it. But his flesh will be in pain over it, and his soul will mourn over it. Daily Deep Dive. The UCG reading plan starts with, Job sinks back into despair, uttering a poem on the plight of man, agreeing with Eliphaz's assessment that a person is born for trouble, and viewing himself as the premier example of that. In verses 7-12, which may be a continuation of the poem, Job implies that life is better for a tree than a person, because at least a tree cut down can sprout again, while death marks the end for a human being, at least until far in the future. End. Verse 12, what an exciting verse. Here we see that Job has a strong understanding of what happens at death, and that God had shared this knowledge with those he was working with early in the Bible. He understood that when you die you remain dead in your grave for a period of time the Bible refers to as sleep/rest. Compare Dan 12-2. Job understood there was a time in the future when those who were dead, asleep, would be awakened. This will occur at the resurrections. Compare 1 Tay 4:15-17, John 5:28-29. Job looked forward to this time. Verse 14. Here's what the UCG reading plan adds about these verses. He asks that God would bring him the relief of the grave until his wrath is past, that God would then call him forth at the appointed time. To capture the force of Job's meaning of halapati, my change or my renewal, NIV, we must note that the same root is used in v. 7 concerning the tree. There the NIV and NKJV translated it sprout. A basic meaning is to have succession. In this verse Job is speaking of succession after death, not the healing of his body in this life. Expositor's Bible Commentary, footnote on verse 14. The Greek Septuagint translates this as a word meaning rebirth. But Job's flicker of hope is short-lived here. As the remainder of chapter 14 shows, Job knew that eventually God would cover all his offenses and longed for him as the beneficent creator who delights in those he made. But despite his faith in God's power over death, Job was convinced that God would not even allow him the exquisite release of death. The waters of suffering continued to erode till his bright hope was a dim memory. v. 19. And nothing mattered anymore but the pain of his body and the continual mourning of his soul. v. 22. Note on 13:28-14-22. In this world, it appears that he, along with the rest of mankind, has no hope and no future. Yet through all this, Job, who was suffering inconceivable distress, still did not curse God's name. We can only begin to grasp the mental strain Job endured during his time of suffering. And, this is the last chapter of what is known as the first cycle of Job. This cycle goes from chapter 4 through 14, and records the first speeches of all three friends, and Job's response to them. Then the cycle begins again in Job 15.